American Top 40.
From the Florida Everglades to the California Redwoods, you hear the nation's top hits every week at this time on AT40. My name's Casey. The countdown continues with Graham Nash and Chicago at number 36.
So your brother's bound to gag. Open up the door.
Last week at 39, this week at 36. Graham Nash and Chicago.
American Top 40.
A supergroup was born in the summer of 1969 when a former Bird, a former Holly, and two former members of the Buffalo Springfield moved into a house together in the Laurel Canyon section of Los Angeles. And they began turning out hits. Most of them protest songs dealing with the generation gap, campus violence, and generally heavy themes. So what did they go and do? Well, they went and recorded a song about the house they were living in. And it's a big national hit at number 32. Here are David Crosby, Stephen Stills, Graham Nash, and Neil Young.
I'll light the fire today.
Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, an American Top 40. Their hit song was number 32 last week, same position this week, Our House.
American Top 40.
Crosby was an original member of the Byrds. Stills was an original member of Buffalo Springfield. Nash was an original member of the Hollies. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Here they are with their current hit song called Just a Song Before I Go.
It's easy to get burned.
Just a Song Before I Go. At number 17, moving up 7 notches, 5th week on the chart by Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
American Top 40.
AT40 originates in Hollywood. Well, now on American Top 40, we're up to the current hit by a supergroup made up of former members of some of the most important acts of the late 60s. I'm talking about the Hollies, the Byrds, and the Buffalo Springfield. Now, the Byrds and the Buffalo Springfield were formed in Southern California, and they became known for blending country and rock music in new and exciting ways. And that sound inspired many other acts during the 70s, including Linda Ronstadt, the Eagles, Poco, and Jackson Browne. The Hollies were an important act in England, where they hit just a few months after the Beatles. And like the Beatles, they were among the first groups to combine American rhythm and blues with British pop. They combined it into a sound that would go on to sweep America. Well, in the late 60s, one member each from the Byrds, the Buffalo Springfield, and the Hollies joined together to form a new group. And its name came from their names. From the Byrds, it was David Crosby. From the Buffalo Springfield, Stephen Stills. And from the Hollies, Graham Nash. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. They first hit the top 40 in 1969 with Marrakesh Express. Then came Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. The next year, Neil Young, also from Buffalo Springfield, joined the group, and they ran off 4 more hits: Woodstock, Teach Your Children, Ohio, and Our House. Afterward, the 4 men drifted apart. Then in 1977, Crosby, Stills, and Nash got together and hit the top 10 with Just a Song Before I Go. Again, they went their separate ways for several more years, then reformed a few months ago. And here they are with their latest hit, Crosby, Stills, and Nash at number 16 with Wasted on the Way.
Look around me.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash on American Top 40, 4th week on the chart, now at number 16, moving up 4 with Wasted on the Way. Now, as we continue our countdown of the most popular songs in America, I'd like to welcome 8 new stations to the American Top 40 family. There's WKAD in Canton, Pennsylvania, WTGA in Thomaston, Georgia, KSIT in Rock Springs, Wyoming, WJRZ in Manahawkin, New Jersey, WIZX in Orangeburg, South Carolina, KILE in Galveston, Texas, WIIZ in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and Radio St. Lucia, West Indies. Welcome to American Top 40. It's a pleasure to have you with us. My name's Casey Kasem, and the countdown continues. Well, now we're up to a song by a superstar trio, one of whose members has a second career completely unrelated to music. He's Graham Nash of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and his passion for rock music is equaled by his passion for photography. today. Graham Nash said that it's like an entirely different career. He started learning about, buying, and collecting photographs more than 10 years ago. He told the LA Times, "At the same time as I was developing a tremendous passion for photographs, I had made a fortune in rock and roll, and I was on the road where I had an access to places where photographs were being sold." But Graham isn't content to just collect photos. He puts together special exhibits. His different photo collections have been exhibited at UCLA and at other galleries and museums around the country. Graham has works by some of the world's most renowned photographers like Ansel Adams, Edward Weston, Diane Arbus, and Henri Cartier-Bresson. But Graham said the most important thing about his collection is that he's able to put the photos on display for many other people to see. He said, quote, "Photographs are small windows into the human mind. After seeing my collection, a woman wrote me a letter saying that the experience changed the way she thought about things. That's all the thanks I need to make the whole thing worth it. In music and photography, I don't want static, dust-collecting responses. I want to move you." End of quote. This week, Graham Nash is on the pop chart as part of Crosby, Stills and Nash at number 19 on American Top 40 with "Wasted on the Way."
American Top 40. American Top 40.
Well, now we're up to an extra here on AT40, and it's one of the first big American hits from the 60s for the star English group, the Hollies. Recently, we spoke to the original members of the Hollies who are currently reforming. And co-founding member Graham Nash told us this weird story. He said that in the band's early days, his rhythm guitar playing was so bad, the other members of the Hollies wouldn't let him plug in his electric guitar when he went on stage. And to make up for the loss of Nash's guitar, the lead guitarist would play both the lead and the rhythm lines in every song. Well, Graham told us that he could have gone on stage without a guitar at all, since it was his voice that was important to the songs. But he felt insecure standing out there with nothing to do with his hands. And he also told us that after a while he removed the strings from his guitar, which means that even if he had been plugged in, he couldn't have made a sound. That was the story Graham Nash told us as he reminisced about the early days of the Hollies. Graham left the Hollies around 69 to become a superstar as part of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Right now, we've got one of the Hollies' first American hits as an AT40 extra. From 1966, the Hollies with Graham Nash's silent guitar and Bus Stop.
Bus stop, wait day, she's there. I say he was mine.
An AT40 extra from 1966, Bus Stop by the Hollies.
American Top 40. American Top 40.
I'm Casey, counting down the hits.
Number 35.
Here's the recently reunited band from the British invasion in the 1960s who named themselves after Buddy Holly. Their current hit is a remake of a #1 song by the Supremes. It debuted last week at number 40, now climbs 5 notches to 35. It's Stop in the Name of Love. Here are the Hollies. The group that was formed way back in 1963 in Stockport, England. The Hollies at number 35, moving up 5 with Stop in the Name of Love.
The hits from coast to coast.
I'm Casey Kasem with the Triathlon of Rock and Roll. Artists who have hit big in the 60s, 70s, and the top 10 in the 80s. Now we're up to the supergroup who formed in the 60s. A group featuring David Crosby of the Byrds, Stephen Stills of the Buffalo Springfield, and Graham Nash of the English group The Hollies. Graham says Crosby, Stills, and Nash first met at Joni Mitchell's home in L.A. At the time, he was still in the Hollies and feeling frustrated because his songs were being ignored. Graham says David Crosby gave him a new direction.
I played him the songs. He said, "Wait a second. I'll record them with you. Those are fine little songs, man. You mean they don't like these tunes?" And all of a sudden, he made me believe in myself again.
CSN unveiled their magical 3-part harmonies at Woodstock back in 1969. And it was still magical when they performed in the 80s at Live Aid. Crosby, Stills, and Nash are at number 38 in our rock triathlon. Here's their 1982 hit, Southern Cross.
Got out of town on a boat on the Southern Islands.
Southern Cross by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Their total of 9 top 40 hits spanning 3 decades places them at number 38 among chart endurance champs. This is AT40's non-stop special survey, the triathlon of rock and roll.
American Top 40.
Based on Billboard chart appearances, the top 10 in the 80s and the top 40 in the 60s and 70s, this is the triathlon of rock and roll. A few of our chart champs have had hits as members of more than one group. Here's a man we heard back at number 38 in the super trio of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. He's the English member. He began his career in the 60s with the Hollies. With a total of 17 top 40 appearances to his credit, Graham Nash comes in at number 33. Here he is singing lead with Crosby, Stills, and Nash on the 1980s top 10 smash, Wasted on the Way. Wasted on the Way. Graham Nash finds his way at number 33 among the longevity leaders on the Billboard charts. With the triathlon of rock and roll, artists whose hits span the last 3 decades, I'm Casey Kasem.
Casey's Coast to Coast.